All right, let's dive in. Today we're looking at Kansai Nerolac Paints.
Oh, a big one.
Yeah, they're huge. And they just released their Q2 results for fiscal year 2025.
Okay.
And we're going to see what we can glean from all this data.
All right.
We've got their official press release, we've got the investor presentation that they shared, and we've even got their detailed financial statements.
Excellent. The good stuff.
Yeah, so we're going deep.
Yeah. And Kansai Nerolac Paints, just to give a little context, over 105 years old.
Wow.
A true leader in industrial paints in India.
I did not know they were that old.
Yeah, so we're not just talking about, sprucing up the living room here.
Right.
We're talking cars, bridges, massive infrastructure projects.
So if it needs a coat,
Kansai's probably
so
involved.
they've probably done it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the big picture, revenue.
Okay.
How much money did they bring in this quarter? Now, the press release says standalone revenue is up just 1%,
Okay.
and consolidated revenue even lower. Now, just real quick, standalone refers to the performance of the core company itself, while consolidated includes all its subsidiaries and other ventures.
Gotcha.
So, tiny increase for the main company, and even less when you factor in everything else.
Right.
Not exactly setting the world on fire this quarter.
Not a growth spurt that's going to make headlines, no.
No.
But there's a reason for that.
Oh.
If we look into the investor presentation, they point to those heavy monsoons India experienced,
Ah, yeah.
rain and painting. They don't really mix.
No, not at all.
So it makes sense that their decorative paints, the kind we use in our homes,
Right.
took a hit.
That makes sense. Who wants to paint their house in a downpour?
Exactly.
But they did mention strong growth in other segments, though,
Yes.
like paint plus products and services.
Interesting.
And also, construction chemicals and wood finishes seem to be doing well.
Yeah, and that's a key takeaway here. They're diversifying,
That's smart.
not putting all their eggs in the house paint basket.
Yeah.
So while people might be holding off on those DIY projects during monsoon season,
Yeah.
they're finding ways to grow by providing specialized coatings and services for bigger projects.
So they're weathering the storm, so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about profitability.
Okay.
Standalone EBITDA is down 20.3%, and consolidated EBITDA is down almost 24%.
All right.
Now, EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Right.
Essentially, it gives us a clearer picture of the company's core operating profitability.
Mm-hmm.
And a drop of over 20% is, well, a lot of red ink.
Yeah, that's a significant splash.
What's going on with these numbers?
Well, the official statements highlight two key factors.
Okay.
A change in the mix of products they sold and their ongoing investments.
Okay.
So essentially, they might be selling more industrial paints, which often have higher profit margins,
Right.
but they're also investing heavily in expanding their capabilities, which could be impacting those short-term profits.
So it's a little bit like planting seeds for future growth.
Exactly, even if it means a slightly smaller harvest today.
I like that analogy.
Thank you.
So maybe a short-term dip for a potential long-term gain.
Potentially, yeah.
Makes sense. But I want to go back to those other segments that are performing well,
Okay,
especially this whole Paint Plus idea.
yeah.
Now, the investor presentation, they break it down further, and it's fascinating.
All right.
Construction chemicals are booming. Wood finishes are looking good.
Mm.
And there's this word they keep using, premiumization.
Ooh, fancy.
High-end paints are selling well, but demand for basic stuff like putty is down.
Interesting.
What does this tell us about the market and maybe even like consumer behavior in India?
Well, it could suggest that consumers are becoming more discerning with their spending.
Okay.
They're willing to invest in quality when it comes to paint,
Yeah.
perhaps opting for those premium options that offer better durability or finish.
Right. Makes sense.
On the other hand, they're cutting back on the less essential items,
Yeah.
like basic putty.
So this premiumization trend could be a sign of evolving consumer preferences and maybe even a reflection of the overall economic climate.
Possibly, yeah.
It's like they're saying, if I'm going to paint,
Right.
I'm going all out.
Exactly.
So even within a company's performance, we're seeing glimpses of these broader economic trends and consumer behavior.
Absolutely.
That's what I love about this stuff.
Me too.
Now, here's something else that really caught my eye. They added over 2,000 new dealers this quarter.
Wow.
That's a huge expansion of their network.
It is impressive, but it also tells us that the competition in the Indian paint market is heating up.
Makes sense.
Everyone's vying for a piece of that growing pie.
So Kansai is not just sitting back and enjoying the ride.
Oh, no.
They're actively expanding their reach.
They are.
All right, let's switch gears and look at the industrial side of their business.
Okay.
Now, the investor presentation mentioned that automotive paints are doing well,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense given all the new car launches we've seen recently.
Yes, and that ties back to the economic picture we discussed earlier.
Right.
If the economy is doing well, people are more likely to buy new cars,
Right.
leading to higher demand for automotive paints.
It's all connected.
It is.
A healthy automotive sector is a good sign for Kansai Nerolac's industrial paints segment.
Absolutely.
And speaking of industrial paints, their performance coatings are strong too.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking heavy-duty coatings used on bridges, infrastructure projects, things that need to withstand some serious wear and tear.
And get this, Kansai Nerolac just secured approval for coatings on the Mumbai Metro.
Wow, that's huge.
That's a massive win for them.
Yeah.
And a testament to the quality and reliability of their products.
So imagine our listener riding the Mumbai Metro, surrounded by Kansai Nerolac's handiwork.
It's a great visual.
It's not just a company in a financial report.
Right.
It's part of their daily life.
That's what makes these deep dives so exciting, connecting the dots between the numbers and the real world.
I love it.
Speaking of connecting the dots,
Okay.
remember those Paint Plus products and services we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
That focus on going beyond just selling paint?
Right.
Well, this Mumbai Metro win could be a perfect example of Paint Plus in action.
Interesting.
It's not just about providing the coating, it's about being a partner in large-scale infrastructure projects.
Right.
Offering expertise, service, and a whole package.
So Paint Plus is not just a marketing term.
They fix more than that.
It's a core strategy for Kansai Nerolac's future.
It seems that way.
It makes you wonder if other paint companies will follow suit,
Yeah.
transforming the industry from simply selling paint to offering comprehensive solutions.
That's a great point.
But let's not forget about, well, the elephant in the room, raw material prices.
Right.
They've been all over the place, haven't they?
Absolutely. The financial statements show that raw material prices were initially inflationary, pushing costs higher.
Right.
But then they started softening towards the end of the quarter.
So it's a roller coaster.
It is. And a reminder that even giants like Kansai Nerolac are operating in a dynamic environment where adaptability is key.
So they're dealing with rising competition, fluctuating raw material costs,
Yep.
and shifts in consumer behavior.
All at the same time.
How is their leadership navigating these challenges?
That's the big question.
Now, the investor presentation mentioned both rural and the urban demand, showing positive signs.
Interesting.
So they seem well-positioned to capture growth wherever it pops up.
Right. And that's important for our listener.
Definitely.
Because a company that can adapt and thrive in different market conditions is generally a good sign for its long-term prospects.
But are they just riding the wave?
Right.
Or are they actively shaping their future?
That's what we need to figure out.
Because they're doing well, but are they just being reactive?
Exactly.
Or are they being proactive?
Good question.
It seems like they're not just sitting back.
Yeah.
They're focused on new products, services like this whole Paint Plus
Yeah.
idea. And that aggressive expansion of their dealer network
Right.
are all signs that they're actively adapting
It seems so.
to the changing landscape.
It's a whole new world.
They're making strategic moves
They are?
to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Speaking of strategic moves, there was a small but intriguing detail tucked away in the official filing.
Ooh.
The appointment of a new independent director,
Okay.
Mr. Uday Pansali.
Interesting.
Now, Mr. Bansali is a seasoned professional,
Right.
a chartered accountant with extensive experience in mergers and acquisitions and financial advisory.
Oh, wow.
Bringing someone with his expertise on board could signal that Kansai Nerolac is exploring new avenues for growth,
Interesting.
maybe even considering acquisitions or partnerships
Okay.
to strengthen their market position.
Now that's a deep dive discovery.
It is, right? It's not just about understanding the current performance.
No.
It's about looking for those subtle clues that might hint at the company's future direction. So we've covered revenue, profits, diversification, competition, economic trends, and even a bit of boardroom intrigue.
Quite a bit.
But what does it all boil down to for our listener?
Right.
What's the takeaway here?
Well, I think Kansai Nerolac is demonstrating resilience in a challenging market.
Okay.
Their strategic diversification, focus on innovation like Paint Plus I, and willingness to adapt are all positive signs.
Yeah.
They're not just a paint company. They're a dynamic force in the industry, constantly evolving to meet the changing needs of the market.
And that's something for our listener to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
This deep dive wasn't just about understanding one company's performance. It was about gaining insights into a whole industry, understanding broader economic trends, and even getting a glimpse into the future of how we interact with something as everyday as paint.
And that's the beauty of these deep dives.
It is.
We take something seemingly mundane, like paint, and uncover the fascinating stories hidden beneath the surface.
Yeah.
We see how a company's performance is intertwined with economic trends, consumer behavior,
Right.
even technological advancements.
It's all connected.
It is.
And it's a reminder that there's always more to learn, more to explore, and more to discover.
Always.
Even in a can of paint.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep digging, and keep diving deep.
Because you never know what colorful insights you might find.
Exactly.
I love that. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Be back in a few.
Yeah, it is a reminder that even giants like Kansai Nerolac, they're not immune to these global pressures.
Yeah, no one is immune to that stuff.
Exactly.
So they're dealing with rising competition, fluctuating raw material costs, and those shifts in consumer behavior we talked about.
Right, a lot to juggle.
How's their leadership navigating all of this?
Good question.
Now, the investor presentation did mention both rural and urban demand are showing positive signs.
Interesting.
So they seem well positioned to, capture that growth wherever it pops up.
Right, and that's a good sign for our listener.
Yeah, for sure.
Because a company that can adapt and thrive in different market conditions, that usually means good things for its long-term prospects.
But are they just riding the wave?
Right.
Or are they actively shaping their future?
Because they're doing well, but are they just reacting?
Right, exactly.
Or are they being proactive and thinking ahead?
Are they ahead of the curve or just on the curve?
Exactly.
Well, it seems like they're not just sitting back. They're focused on new products, services like Paint Plus,
Yeah.
and that aggressive expansion of their dealer network. Those are all signs that they're trying to adapt.
Yeah, it seems so.
They're making strategic moves
Yeah,
to stay ahead of the curve.
absolutely.
Speaking of strategic moves, there's this small detail in the official filing. I found it quite intriguing.
Oh, what's that?
They appointed a new independent director,
Okay.
Mr. Uday Bansali.
Interesting.
Now, Mr. Bansali, he's a seasoned professional, a chartered accountant with tons of experience in mergers and acquisitions and financial advisory.
Wow. Impressive.
Bringing someone with his background on board, it could signal that Kansai is exploring new avenues for growth.
Interesting. Like what?
Maybe they're considering acquisitions or partnerships, to strengthen their position in the market.
That'll be a big move.
It would. That's what I love about these deep dives.
Me too.
It's not just about understanding the current performance.
Yo, it's about looking ahead.
It's about finding those clues, those little hints.
Right, like a puzzle.
Exactly. And trying to figure out where the company might be headed.
I like it.
So we've covered revenue, profits, diversification, competition, even a little boardroom intrigue.
Quite a bit.
But what does it all mean for our listener? What's the takeaway?
Well, I think Kansai Nerolac is showing that they can be resilient,
Okay.
even in a tough market.
Right.
Their strategic diversification, that focus on innovation like Paint Plus A, and their willingness to adapt, those are all good signs.
Yeah, I agree.
They're more than just a paint company. They're a force in the industry. They're always evolving to meet the needs of the market.
And that's something our listeners should keep in mind.
Absolutely.
This deep dive wasn't just about one company. It was about understanding a whole industry,
Yeah.
those bigger economic trends, and even getting a glimpse into the future of how we use and interact with something as basic as paint.
And that's the beauty of these deep dives, right?
It really is.
We take something seemingly ordinary, like paint, and we find these fascinating stories.
We peel back the layers.
Exactly. And we see how a company's performance is tied to everything else that's going on. Economic trends, consumer behavior, even technology.
It's all connected.
It really is.
And it's a reminder that there's always more to learn, more to explore,
Always.
even in a can of paint.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, we're going to zoom in on this Paint Plus concept. It seems like Kansai is really betting big on this idea.
They are. And it's worth exploring because it could be a game changer.
It really could be a game changer, this whole Paint Plus concept.
Yeah, it's not just about slapping a coat of color on something anymore, right?
Right. It's about the service, the added value, all that.
The expertise, yeah.
So, are we moving beyond just paint into like a world of solutions?
It's a fascinating question, and we've already seen Kansai using some pretty cool technology to develop new products and coatings.
Right.
So could they apply that same innovative spirit to how they apply those products?
So maybe Paint Plus is about a more, holistic approach.
Maybe, yeah.
Integrating paint into the design, the construction, even the sustainability of a project.
So start to finish.
Yeah, it's like you're not just buying paint, you're buying peace of mind.
Right, like knowing that the company's got you covered.
Yeah, from picking the right color to making sure it lasts.
Like a paint concierge.
Exactly. And that could totally change the game for the industry.
It could?
Imagine, paint isn't just an afterthought, it's a key part of the whole building process.
It's integral right from the beginning.
Right, so that's something for our listeners to think about as they see the paint industry evolve.
Keep an eye on this whole paint plus thing.
Yeah, it could be the future.
It could be.
So next time you're walking around your city, take a closer look.
You might be surprised.
Yeah, you might spot a bridge, all shiny and new,
Right.
coated with Kansai Nerolac performance coatings.
Or a brand new car with their latest finish.
Exactly. Suddenly this company, it's not just a name in a report.
It's real.
It's part of your world.
That's what I love about these deep dives,
Me too.
We take something ordinary, like paint,
Yeah.
and we find these amazing stories hidden underneath.
It's like we're peeling back the layers.
Exactly, and we see how a company is connected to everything else, the economy, consumer trends, technology.
It's all connected.
It really is.
It makes you realize there's always more to learn,
Always.
more to explore,
Always something new to discover.
even in a can of paint. Well, that wraps up another deep dive.
Another one down.
Until next time, keep those questions coming
Keep digging,
and keep diving deep.
because you never know what you might find.